Hello, Dr. Markle of Centeno Schultz here. Today we're talking about glenohumeral labral tears. Now, the labrum of the shoulder joint, it's basically made up of fibrocartilage of the shoulder, and it allows the anchor point of the entire capsule of the shoulder. It's basically the analogous structure. There's a labrum in your hip, as well as it's very similar structure from a fibrocartilage standpoint to the meniscus in your knee. If we looked at the structure and structure of the labrum, it's actually very analogous to your labrum, and it functions the same way. It allows an anchor spot to some of the ligaments around the joint, as well as a shock absorber for the joint itself. And it all the way circumducts the entire joint, all the way around, and your biceps tendon actually anchors to it as well. And shoulder pathology, from rotator cuff tears, shoulder instability, osteoarthritis, typically all have some sort of component of labral degeneration or labral tearing. So a common labral tear is termed a slap tear. This is basically just tells us where the tear is. If we're looking from a side profile of the labrum, this is the front of your shoulder, this is the back of the shoulder, and superior aspects of the labrum is sort of the location in the slap. So it's superior labral tear, and it goes from the front to the back or anteriorly the posterior positioning of the tear itself. And that's the term for slap tear. So slap tears can have different variations of how it's torn, where the biceps anchors to it. So the biceps anchors again to that top part of the shoulder. So the biceps can actually pull the labrum from any kind of injuries. Overhead athletes typically have these, where they can actually tear the attachment where the labrum and biceps attach to. And then you could have type 1, you could have type 2, type 3, or type 4, just means different characterizations of the tear itself. The most common we see is going to be a type 2, where the labrum is intact and the biceps is just pulling at that attachment site, and where we're starting to get some tearing of it. If we have some basically detachment of the labrum, where the labrum is actually falling down where it's attached to, that's a little bit more serious issue. So now, one thing is how common is a labral tear itself? If we look at most people that get this is overhead athletes, such as volleyball players, gymnasts, baseball pitchers. If we MRI it, let's say several hundred of these athletes, how common is it? And is it a painful condition, or does it even cause pain? We find out that almost 66 out of 10 patients, volleyball players, their dominant shoulder have labral tears. Gymnasts, an astounding 83% of gymnasts have labral tears, but all those patients are asymptomatic, meaning it just part of the normal process of the shoulder. The shoulder is getting excessive stress to the shoulder, and therefore that area is becoming damaged and torn, and it's rarely ever actually symptomatic or painful. So we see the same in other overhead sports, such as professional baseball pitchers, where 47% of these have labral tears, and over half of those labral tears are in that anterior to posterior position in those slap regions. So labral tear, just because someone has an MRI finding of a labral tear, doesn't necessarily mean that's what's causing the shoulder pain. And then another type of labral tear is in dislocations or unstable shoulders, where that ball and socket joint, that socket is being translated forward and backwards. And if it actually dislocates, it actually goes forward and towards the bottom, and that can stretch out the labrum. It can damage the labrum, and it can actually damage the joint from a cartilage bone structure too. And those injuries are called the Hill-Sachs and Bankart lesions, where these are top-down views of the ball in the socket, also known as a golf ball and a golf tee analogy, where the golf ball is actually slid forward because there's looseness in the capsule, and eventually damages the labrum in the front lower part of it. And we can actually create a bone bruise in the back of the actual ball part of the socket. And if that continues, if the shoulder's put back in place, then we have an unstable shoulder where all those ligaments and tendons around the shoulder continue to be stretched out, allowing sometimes recurrent dislocations and further damage to the cartilage, the labrum, and things along those lines. But the question is we know labral tears can be traumatic. They can be a common theme for overuse injuries. So repairing or surgically repairing these labral tears, are they really helpful? And a study looked at this in the British Journal of Sports Medicine several years ago, doing a pretty extensive randomized controlled trial where they took people with slap tears and surgerized them. One group got placed into an actual labral repair, labral reconstruction. Another group got put into a biceps tenodesis, where if that biceps anchor is what's causing the pain, they just cut the biceps, and therefore it stops pulling on the labrum. And a third condition where they do a sham surgery, where they do everything like they would do from a surgical standpoint, get in there and then don't do anything, and then they get out. And they followed these guys long-term wise. What they concluded is, regardless of which arm of the study the patients were in, even the fake surgery, all patients seem to get very similar benefit, which is very little benefit, if any benefit at all. So this is pretty conclusive, where labral surgeries, for the most part, don't really help too much from an overall pain perspective. And now at Centeno Schultz, we've been treating labral tears, rotator cuff tears, and degenerative joint issues such as osteoarthritis in the shoulder joint for many years. We have a little bit more of a comprehensive approach to it, where we're not just treating the joint with simple injections, put it into the joint, put it into the labrum, put it into the rotator cuff. We do a little bit more comprehensive called interventional orthopedics, where we're treating the entire structure of the joint. We're treating the capsule of the joint, we're treating the rotator cuff tear, we treat the labral tear, and also the sometimes even directly into the bone. And that tends to get us the most comprehensive treatment, and overall treatment tends to get us the most symptomatic benefit. We've published some research studies on this. For over 100 of our patients, we followed long-term wise in a registry, and we found that continuous improvement post-treatment up to about 2 years. So all these patients, on average, continued to get benefit for 2 years, whether it was rotator cuff tears, labral tears, osteoarthritis. We treated it all based on what we examined, from evaluating the ligaments, the tendons, the bone structures, and we treat all those accordingly with the same day bone marrow construct. So if you've been dealing with the shoulder issue, whether it be a labral tear, rotator cuff tear, or just arthritis, been told you need more invasive surgery like a shoulder replacement or reconstruction, give us a call. We're happy to evaluate you in clinic or via telehealth to see if you're a candidate for any of our interventional treatments. Thank you and have a good day.